Are two esoteric secret societies responsible for placing hidden symbols on American currency? Yep, we're going there. We're going to talk about that and more, so buckle up, hang on, and stay tuned. YouTube, how you doing? Silver and Gold Stack Attack coming at you with another video. I hope everyone's doing well, and as always, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to stop by and check out the new video. Best community on YouTube, hands down, without a doubt, and I can't thank you all enough for the fantastic support. You're the reason this channel's growing. Alright, so we're going to go off the beaten path of gold and silver for a day, and we're going to go down a rabbit hole and talk about the Masons, the Illuminati, and their alleged symbolism on the dollar bill. There are a lot of misconceptions about what all the symbols mean, and we're going to see if we can weed through it and make some sense of it. Now, this video could be hours long if I went into the detail about both groups, so I'm only going to describe them briefly to kick off the video. You'll find tons of information about them online if you want to dig deeper. Besides, we've got far more interesting stuff to get to, so all that being said, let's go ahead and roll it. We've carried dollar bills with us for decades. Maybe not so much now with the frequent use of debit cards, but chances are you have a few laying around, right? But all this time, were there esoteric symbols hidden in plain sight on the dollar? Symbols representing the Freemasons and possibly the Illuminati? On this video, I'm going to present each symbol and give you both the dark and the good meanings and let you interpret from there. But before we do that, let's go over the Masons and Illuminati really quickly. We'll start with the Freemasons. Freemasonry or Masonry is basically an organization that can trace their origins to the local guilds of stonemasons around the end of the 13th century. The group regulated the qualifications of stonemasons, and as well as their interaction with authorities and clients. Now, the Masons have 3 degrees of levels or masonry, and they are Entered Apprentice, Fellowcraft, and Master Mason. Now, 2 of America's earliest presidents, George Washington and James Monroe, were Freemasons, as were Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, and Paul Revere. But many leading figures in the American Revolution, including John and Samuel Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and Thomas Paine, were not Masons. As a matter of fact, out of the 56 patriots who signed the Declaration of Independence, only 9 were confirmed Masons. So it's always been a small, select group of people. Now on to the Illuminati, and that's a name given to several groups, some real, some fake. But the name usually refers to the Bavarian Illuminati, an Enlightenment-era secret society founded on 1 May, 1776 in Bavaria, which is part of Germany today. And that founder was Adam Weishaupt. Now, more recently, the name Illuminati has been used when referring to various societies that are supposedly a continuation of the original group, but that's never been substantiated. And these present-day organizations have often been accused of conspiring to control world affairs, masterminding events, and planning agents in government and big corporations in order to gain political power so they could establish a new world order. Now, in other words, they're depicted as lurking in the shadows and pulling the strings and levers for power. Believe what you will, but the Illuminati is mostly whispers in the wind these days, whereas the Masons are at least an accountable group through present day. But enough of all that. Let's get into those alleged secret symbols on the dollar bill. We'll start off with the obverse. There's really not much going on here that might imply some secret dark meanings. You mostly have serial and plate numbers and Treasury and Federal Reserve seals. There are a couple of oddities, and they are. One is the Omega symbol that surrounds George Washington's portrait. Being the last letter of the Greek alphabet, the Omega symbol is typically used to denote the end of something, or the last, final, ultimate limit of it. It also symbolizes something great, or the end of an increment of great development, where this increment could be the universe, the planet, a country, or just a person. The Omega has tons of magical and spiritual meaning, so it's unknown which group can claim this, or if the Omega in this image is just pure coincidence. Alright, the other odd feature that appears might be a mysterious owl, or a spider, or wavy lines. If you look at the bottom of the dollar, you'll see 2 circled sections in red. And when we blow those up, we see something that vaguely could resemble an owl. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a reach there. But you see the 2 eyes, what could be the beak, 2 wings, tail feathers, who knows. But hang on, there's actually another alleged owl. If you take a look at the top right of the dollar, as you see here, you can really see a tiny owl, or spider, or wavy lines. Once again, who knows? You can let your imagination run wild on these, but if you look pretty closely, you can see what resembles, again, two eyes, a beak, wings, and tail feathers. So what's the importance of the owl? Well, in Illuminati practices, the owl is revered as a creature of vigilance, a guardian who stands alert so others can rest through the night under its watchful gaze. It's seen as a symbol of wisdom, or as others would have you think, the Illuminati is always watching. Anyway, that's the correlation between the owl and the Illuminati. Again, take those symbols with a grain of salt, because they could just as easily be the product of sheer coincidence and wavy lines. So that's really it for the obverse of the dollar. Now we're going to move on to the reverse, and this is where all the magic happens, folks. Let's take a look. All right, we'll start with the Great Seal, specifically the eagle on the right side of the bill. Now, there isn't a whole lot of controversy on this design, since a lot of it is geared toward the birth of the United States. The symbolism here is actually in the numbers, specifically in the number 13. You'll see 13 stars above the eagle, 13 vertical bars on the shield, 13 horizontal stripes at the top of the shield, 13 leaves on the olive branch, 13 berries on the olive branch, and 13 arrows. Now, conspiracy theorists, they're going to pin the number 13 to the Freemasons, saying that the Masons see 13 as an esoteric number, symbolic of a transformational process that brings an individual to their perfected state. But oddly enough, number 13 isn't really found anywhere in Masonic ritual. And that being said, the source of 13 as a Masonic number could actually be attributed to James B. Walker, who was a 32nd degree Mason and had a published article back in the day that pretty much stated that all the number 13 references had a Masonic significance. This is completely debatable at this point. Even Masons might scratch their head with this one. Now, another significance of 13 that some folks will point to is from a biblical standpoint, since it represented rebellion and lawlessness in the Bible, possibly referring to the rebellion against King George and America taking freedom by force. Take it for what it is. Take it for what it is. Personally, I'm sticking with the number 13 being attributed to the original 13 colonies. Let's not overcomplicate it, right? So let's flip over to the other side of the seal with the pyramid. Now, this is the symbol that really gets people going. Seriously. Let's start with the Latin phrase on top. Annuit coeptis. 13 letters in that, by the way. Again, number 13 pops up. Now, translated, this generally means he favors our undertakings. And moving down below that is the one symbol that just freaks people out, which is the Eye of Providence. Now, initially, this eye was meant to show that a deity was in favor and watching the growth of the newborn country, which would tie into the Annuit coeptis phrase above. It's enclosed within a triangle that represents the Holy Trinity. But conspiracy folks call it the Eye of Horus, claiming that it's the symbol of the Illuminati, which it is, or that it's a nod to the Masons and representing pagan Egyptian mythology and the roots of Masonry. Now look, with the Masons, the eye represented the all-seeing eye of the great architect of the universe, or simply God. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Freemasons or Illuminati are secretly lording over the American government. Now we're on to the unfinished pyramid. Now, when it was first added, the pyramid was really meant to convey strength and duration, a direct nod to the pyramids in Egypt, and a direct hope for the country's future from its founders. Now, as you can see, it's unfinished, and this was always meant to say that the country is strong, but it's still not complete, and that there was always going to be more work to be done. But let's flip to the conspiracy side. They'll tell you it's an Egyptian pyramid and one of the great Illuminati symbols, so it has to be evil at work. Also, the number 13 comes back into play here. Shocker. If you count the levels of the pyramid, you'll come up with 13 levels. Now, before we move on, take a look at that bottom level of the pyramid. You'll see a long set of Roman numerals. Those numbers actually translate to the year 1776, which was obviously a nod to the new American era commencing on July 4th. But hold on. The Bavarian Illuminati was also founded in May of 1776, so of course the conspiracy folks are going to flock to that interpretation instead. And lastly, we're down to another Latin phrase, Novo Ordo Seclorum, which is loosely translated to the birth of the nation or new American era. And then you have the conspiracy folks claiming that it's a secret phrase from the Masons or the Illuminati calling for a new world order. Okay. There was a reason that phrase was put directly under the Roman numerals of 1776. It ties right into it. All right. So there you have it. A lot of stuff to think about there. Now, I'm of the firm belief that the Illuminati basically disappeared when the Bavarian chapter disintegrated. Now, could there be spin-off organizations calling themselves Illuminati? Sure. Yeah. But the difference between the Illuminati and the Masons are that the Masons are, well, they're obviously still functioning, whereas we really have no proof of the Illuminati, in hundreds of years. And what about the correlation between the symbols of our currency and symbols used by both groups? Well, from the Mason side, quite a few of the country's founders and presidents have been Freemasons, so there'd obviously be that connection. But the Illuminati symbols don't necessarily they don't have to mean anything dark and underhanded. I mean, let's face it, symbols have been repurposed throughout the centuries and had their meanings changed, right? Look at the swastika. I mean, it used to be an ancient symbol for well-being, but that's absolutely not what it's known for today. And that's just one of the realities of the world we live in, right? Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And if you made it this far, well, kudos to you. I will definitely catch up with you in the next episode, but in the meantime,
what do you want to do with your life?
damn right, get stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone. I am out of here. Peace, folks.